It's the Spill the Wine Show podcast. Hi, everybody. It's your host, Leroy Wine Guy Guilford. Yeah, this is episode number 8. Now, we're going to do something a little different today. Actually, the Thanksgiving time is the number one wine consumption time of the year, at least in the United States. And we're going to touch base on some really wallet-friendly, yummy wines. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to ask you to stick with us, because I'm going to present in just a few moments the short, truncated 7-minute version that appeared on the Dining with Peter Dill's show this past weekend. And then my brother Steve and I, yes, we're talking about wines that are very wallet-friendly once again, but for Thanksgiving particularly. And once we present that little 7-minute truncated version, we will pick up and do an addendum where we explore a little deeper in the wines that we think you would find extremely yummy as well as very affordable. All right. So here we go. We're going to dive right into, yes, the truncated version, as I put it, of the Spill the Wine Show commentary on the Peter Dill show that happens every weekend on the big AM 830, at least here in Southern California. Yeah, that's the Angels baseball flagship station where Peter is live every Saturday in their studios at the stadium. And I'm there magically by the touch of a little digital button. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Peter. It's the Spill the Wine commentary. Yeah, the Peter Dill Show truncated version with your host, Leroy Wine Guy Guilford. And for the long version, yeah, www.spillthewine.show. Hey, it's time for turkey wines. And no, I don't mean like, oh, that's a turkey. Yes, you know, Thanksgiving holiday is the number one wine consumption day in America. So we're going to lead you into a host of wallet-friendly wines available many places, but particularly at your local grocery outlet in Southern California and the West Coast. By the way, hey, I've mentioned several times that the Long Beach 7th Street grocery outlet store is unique and well worth driving to. You know, I see the owner, Kia Patterson, she's walking into, the back room where we're recording. Kia, we're just talking about your store being so unique. What say you?
Thank you, Leroy, for the introduction. Well, as you know, I have your brother here, and he's a rock star. But we have Steve, he helps customers select all the great wines that we have. You'll definitely love them. We're located 1340 East 7th Street here in Long Beach. The cross street is orange. And come by and say hi.
Absolutely, and say hi to all these yummy bottles of wine, actually. Well, as Kia just said, Steve Guilford, he's the other wine guy here in Southern California. Yeah, we're sitting here sipping through some incredible wines that we're going to talk about that are super friendly, and particularly at this grocery outlet. Steve, jump in, buddy.
Hi, everybody. We're going to try a few wines. Leroy is very interested in seeing if we have some things you could drink with your turkey dinner or whatever it is you celebrate Thanksgiving with. And we have 4 wines here that we're going to touch on.
Now, before we do that, I have to say that just a couple days ago, my lovely wife and I went into a different grocery outlet a little closer to Temecula where we live. And I took this wine list with me that Steve produces, and we walked out the door, with 25 bottles, 2 cases and an extra bottle. And I think it was like $140 for 25 bottles of wine. Yeah, not too bad for some incredible finds. So, Steve, talk about your newsletter, and then we're going to sip through a couple that we think are killers, okay?
Well, I do put out a newsletter. I try to do it monthly. Sometimes I skip a few weeks, and other times I'll do 2 or 3 within a week if we have a special event going on, like our recent wine sale. But our newsletter is available. Anyone can sign up if they wish. You can find out what the great deals are here at Grocery Outlet, and specifically things that we have here at our store that I've tried. And all you have to do is send your name to vipwinelist@gmail.com. You'll also see the link there for downloading the list that Leroy is speaking of. which is culled together from all the wine buyers that they send out to their friends and family with a few notes extra from me on wines that I have tasted and concur with their conclusions on.
You said that there were a couple signups from listening to the podcast last time you were speaking with us, right? So,
as a matter of fact,
okay.
yes,
Okay.
I did see a few signups from your podcast that have now signed up for the newsletter. They mentioned they have grocery outlets nearby. They're not near us. They're well out of the area, but that's okay too. They can take advantage of it. This is not a pay-to-play thing.
Yeah.
We're just trying to help people get the most for their money.
Let's talk about this Riesling. Yeah, we could sip this up yummy with some turkey dinner, right? So
we can. And this guy is a 12.7% alcohol, so it's a little drier than a typical Riesling. Those would normally be in the 10.5 to 11% range. So a little drier. If you're drinking this with your turkey and gravy and maybe even some acidic sauces, this will be just the perfect complement.
And this is Skyfall is the brand.
It's from yes, this is a Columbia Valley, Washington.
What's the price point?
$5.99 on that guy. And
okay, we're going to have to move fast because
Okay.
I'm looking at the clock running here.
All right.
All right, so now we're going to dive a little bit heavier. We're going to go to Pinot Noir. So this Pinot Noir, tell us about it.
This is a Pinot Noir from the Marlborough region of New Zealand, which is well known for their Sauvignon Blancs and Pinot Noirs. It is, again, at only $6.99. This is a nutty, a laid-back fruit. It's very typical of the Marlborough wines, of which there are several very famous names coming out of there. It's a 2018.
All right. At the risk of being rude, we have to run ahead, watching the clock here. Now we're going to taste through this 2019 Cabernet Franc standalone. Oh, my gosh, you guys. All right, tell us about it. Suance. Is that how you say it, right?
I'm going to use Suns, and I'm going to have to pour a little more in my cup here. There we go, because I already emptied it twice.
This is smoky.
I am a Cabernet Franc fan, and when they're available, I order a few cases. I taste them immediately, and if something really stands out, I hurry up and order a bunch more before the warehouse runs out.
2019,
this,
very
at $15
inky.
will satisfy you beyond your expectations.
Okay, now I'm going to dive ahead because this to me is like a killer find. Okay, this is called Beauté. It's a 2017, standalone Petit Verdot. And those of you who are not familiar with Petit Verdot, it's a classic Bordeaux grape. And it's used primarily for blending because it's super inky dark, lots of intense body and tannin, but not a lot of dynamic flavor. So if it's done right, this thing is amazing right now. And it's $5.99 a bottle. Oh, my gosh.
That's what's amazing about it. And whenever I see a Petit Verdot available once again, I will order some immediately if I already know the wine.
I'm cutting us off. Here we go. We got to sip the last one. Gosh.
All right.
You get to go to the long form later on, folks. So here we go. This is a Shiraz. Yes, Shiraz, like from Australia. And this is, if I can say it right, Talanto and Chapoutier. Yeah, 2015. I have never seen a Shiraz so inky dark. Oh, my God.
Shall we toast the glasses?
There we go. Well, hey, pound in there real quick. If they're going to yummy up some wines, tell them once again the newsletter, and you can find these mostly. You don't almost see any of your grocery outlets, but specifically you want to get a great bottle and plenty of them, you come see Steve here.
You can sign up for the newsletter at VIPWinelist@gmail.com. Just send your name, VIPWinelist@gmail.com, and you can download the comprehensive list of the wine buyers and my selections that's available right now, and most of them on that list are available in the stores.
That's it, folks. Thanksgiving's coming, run out. Like my wife and I get a couple cases. Peter, it's back to you, buddy. Well, as you heard me say, thanks, Peter Dills. Yes, that's because this is the addendum. Yeah, we decided instead of going back and redoing everything, okay, this week's uploaded podcast, we're going to make it longer, but starting what we just did on the radio, okay? We're going to pick up where we were because we got racing through everything because we had to meet the time clock of radio. Now we're podcasting. We got all the time in the world. We're going to back up to some of these super yummy wines with, the other wine guy, my brother, Steven. And I want to back up particularly to the Suns Cabernet Franc. Let's talk deeper about that and taste that up, Steve.
We were talking about the Suns Cabernet Franc. It's a 2019. It's from Sonoma County. The alcohol is only 13.6, which might sound low for a big fat wine. But I'll tell you what, there were only 13 barrels of this made. And when a winery goes to the trouble to make a wine that's only going to produce 13 barrels, they must have really liked those grapes or didn't like a whole bunch of others that were available. But in any event, you always know that's going to be something worth tasting. And we found out that it really was. If you listen to the earlier part of the podcast or the radio show, this is really an amazing wine. It's
13 barrels would probably equal about 750 cases, somewhere right in there. So,
would it make that many? I was thinking it'd be
288 bottles roughly per barrel through a 59.5-gallon barrel. So I know when we did 180 cases, maybe a little bit more, from 8 barrels of our Grand Reserve Syrah at Chapin. So
God, that was so delicious too.
I'm extrapolating from that. So, 700 cases. So
all right. Well,
that's not a lot. And this is spread amongst all the stores. Is that right?
Well, I don't know how much of it our store got. I mean, our grocery outlet in total. But yes, it's fun to find a Cab Franc as a varietal in a bottle that's not only drinkable but quite enjoyable. Usually, that's a blend wine.
Now,
it's
speaking
used
of
to
blend
soften,
wine.
used to soften a Cabernet or to pick up the punch on the back end of a Merlot.
Yep.
But it's when somebody can make one that stands alone like this and be as satisfying.
Well, I'm just looking at here because
there you go.
Those that are following through, we did the race through version on the Peter Dill show. Now we're adding to it.
Yeah.
We have the Bouteille Petit
Verdot.
We could make our own blend right here. We would. I'm almost suggesting that the Petit Verdot and a little splash of that Cabernet Franc would probably.
I'm going to go the opposite here for the hell of it because I have a little bit in the glass. I'm going to put a little splash of the Petit Verdot in with that Cab Franc, and let's see how that works.
It's kind of fun, folks, when you just have a couple of bottled wines here and you can mix it up.
See, now I like it because it lost the finish, but it picked up a whole lot of mid-tongue with a lot of big fruit right in the middle now. It's so fun to blend wines and wonder how a winemaker ever decides, okay, I'm done, let's put that in a bottle. Because every little thing you change gives another whole distinct wine.
Well, we ought to make our own blend here. So I like the Petit Verdot in with the, with that Cab Franc.
That's what I just did. Put a little of the Verdot in with the Franc, and that gave it a little bit more of the ink. In fact, I'm going to add a little bit more of the Petit Verdot.
So if we bought 2 bottles of this, what do you think is the blend ratio here?
Well, you know what? I always tell people start with 25-75 and then go all the way to the other direction, 75-25. And then decide which one was the one that you liked, the body of, and just needed a touch of.
Okay, so here we're talking about the Sunce 2017 Cabernet Franc and the Bouteille, which is
or body, if that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, B-O-T-T-E.
It has to do with
2017. Fencing. Yeah, it has to. That's what they show. 2 guys fencing on the label. It's a rather simple label. It's just a little tan label with 2 guys fencing one another, and on the backside it just says Yolo County, which is a little bit up above Napa along the beach areas there, and. This is kind of fun. I mean, let's talk about the price point. So if you're going to make your own blend here, we're saying, so we have a $5.99.
Yes, and a $14.99.
And a $14.99 Cab Franc. Put those together, and for $20, you've got a super spectacular wine. How fun.
Yes, it is.
Now, we only got to touch teeny little bit on this Australian Shiraz. Let's talk about that again.
Oh, let's bring it over.
You said
here.
There's not a whole lot of it available. Is that right?
No, in fact, we only have a couple dozen bottles at this store, and probably more than half of that's gone already since a couple days ago.
Okay, so it's not a real fancy label. It's brown, actually. It reminds me of a book I'm reading. A guy talked
Well,
about
they have two versions of that Syrah. One's in a
Right.
beige label with some darker print, and that's the brown label with the white text on it. The other one I don't really remember. I tasted it 6, 8, 10 months ago, and I'd have to go back and look at my notes to tell you. But if it was anything like this one, I would probably remember it. So this may be the standout.
Well, this reminds me of this inspirational book I'm reading at the moment. The author talks about when he was in high school. He had a old Buick that was brown with flying white eagles on it. I forget, it was supposed to be one of their hotsy-totsy cars at the time. So that just reminded me of it. So anyways, this Syrah, and they are from down under, so it's Shiraz. But I have to tell you, folks, oh my gosh, this is so incredibly. I don't know.
All I can tell you is I was watching his face. I was watching Leroy's face when he took the first sip of it, and his eyebrows raised, and he made wide-eyed looks like, "What on earth did you pour for me? I did not know it was going to be that intense."
I'm going to take a bottle of this to Mr. Steve Chapin because he makes probably the best Syrah, I think, in Southern California. And this
Which
is
at Chapin Family Vineyards, where you pour wine on the weekends for all the club members, and they love you dearly.
Well, that might be debatable sometimes. Anyways, this is a worthy one to stack up beside and do some measuring, because we'll actually take our Cabernet Sauvignon and we'll buy like Camus and some of the other big names out of Napa and do a side-by-side tasting just to see if we stack up or we think we're better. So, all right. Once again, talking about the newsletter, Steve, because as I'd mentioned, and I want to say it again for those of you who are still hanging with us here on the podcast end of things, my lovely wife and I went into the grocery outlet, in this case here in Southern California, down in Wildomar near Temecula, and literally using my brother's wine list here with recommends, and of course spying out other things on the shelf, we walked out with 25 bottles of wine. You know, when you're paying on average $5.99, and every once in a while a bottle like this that's $14.99, guess what? You get a lot of wine for not very much, and we're everyday wine drinkers. So I'm just pointing out a couple of these things for those of us that are everyday wine drinkers. Take and don't wait too long to snatch these up because they don't last very long.
Well, did you want me to comment on one of those while you were saying that?
I do, because what we already talked about. Okay, so we got the Bouteille Petit Verdot. We've got the
the Terlato and Chapoutier that you're speaking of right now, the Shiraz from Australia. We have another one of their Shiraz, another with the beige label and the dark print, as I mentioned earlier. They're also same $14.99. But this one is limited at the moment, and I don't know if there's any more of it available. I won't know until Monday when I order again if we can get any more. If so, I will get more, and then I will feature it in the newsletter, because your reaction to it, along with my hair-raising, arm goosebumping that I got, I was like, holy whatever.
Yes.
I was amazed. I had no idea that was going to be that big of a wine.
Well, I have to admit
that's
also,
an Australian Shiraz. I've had a million of those, and they're all pretty similar to soft, easy cabs, and this thing jumped off
well, I'm
the
looking
charts.
at, I have to tell you, folks, usually I tote around my wine glasses, yes, like in real glass, clink, clink. But I took off without them, and we're actually using, this is a solo cup. I'm actually drinking wine out of a plastic cup. I have to admit it. It's not my first choice. But anyways, there's a tiny little layer in the bottom of this solo cup of this Shiraz, and you cannot see the white of the bottom of the glass. That's how inky, thick, and dark it is.
And this was just opened. This is not a 24-hour, oxygenated wine, and this is like right now. Yeah, it's a big, full, fat wine. And
now let's talk a little bit, because specifically we're talking about a whole lot of really yummy wines that are available. Primarily, they're at various places, but particularly in these kind of price points at grocery outlet. Steve, you were saying there's numerous locations up and down the West Coast. Is that correct? Because there's folks following us from all over the place. And,
Well, there are a number of stores in the San Diego County area.
right.
There are now probably 50 stores in the LA and Orange County area, and then all the way up to Washington State, Oregon, and Idaho. There are quite a few stores, and then the most of them that have been around the longest are in the Bay Area, and
'Cause that's where they
those
found
are
it
very
out.
mature. Many of those are very big wine stores, as you might expect if they're in the wine country area up there, and they now have a total of 400 and I think it's 415 or 20 stores, and they're opening several a month. So, the chain is growing rapidly, and they're
And our point here is because we want to lead you to, those of us who love wine daily, wines you can actually afford that are really, really yummy. Because let's face it, we all would love to drink $50, $60, $70, $80, $90 bottles from craft boutique operations on a daily basis, but I'm not quite in that category where I can afford that every day. But this stuff I can, okay? And this is a pretty good deal. I want to talk about the newsletter again. Give the email address where somebody can pop to you, because I'm going to tell you, I've been drinking wine for a while, and I've interviewed a whole host of people over the years who grow, the wine and make it and, cook with it and consume it and do all the fun different things. So it's not like I don't know how to pick a wine. But you know what? It's fun to have a letter that you can trust and just go, man, I had to try this. And I have to tell you, it's not just the familial relationship here, but this list that he produces on a regular basis, we're taking a look at. Steve, what's the way you sign up for your newsletter?
If you send your name to vipwinelist@gmail.com, in the subject line, just put wine list or hi or whatever you want. I'll know what it's for. And you'll be on my list for a monthly to sometimes 6 weeks and sometimes a couple within a week if we have something special going on or a really incredible buy shows up, like a $80 wine that we're selling for $12. The people on my list will know about it in time to grab it before it all runs out. And, you'll probably enjoy most of the wines that you try. I mean, not everybody likes everything that I like,
Right.
but the majority that get to following me tell me, yes, you're right on target. So that's where I keep going. Is I aim for that 80 or 90%. And the few others that like something a little sweeter or something a little fruitier, we have plenty of those too. They're just not ones that I typically will review.
So, as I'd mentioned, this is kind of like a public service, right? Because we want to lead you to some yummy, inexpensive wines. His particular location is our 7th Street store here. What's the name of the side street here that you're off of?
Well, we're right at the corner of Nebraska and
Nebraska.
7th Street. It's actually, you could say we're at Almond, we're at Nebraska. We're kind of between those two. We kind of border both of those. And both of those are between Cherry and Orange on 7th Street in Long
cross
Beach.
Streets, yes.
It's 1340 East 7th Street in Long Beach.
And then the other thing is we know we have people listening to us from all over the place, and we appreciate that so much. So hopefully, if you've got in this case, a grocery outlet near you, or other stores that you may be able to find these wines on his list, you'll have a way to spy out some things and go, oh my gosh, I don't have to necessarily know what's in the bottle and take a gamble. I can take the recommend off this list, and that's the idea here. is there's an advantage sometimes to listening to a podcast that talks about wine.
Quite a few people who come in on the Wednesday afternoons when we have our 10% off every Wednesday afternoon if you buy 12 or more, regardless of the 20% off twice a year that we do. That occurs every week. And I have little tags on the shelf called Steve's Stars that tell people these are wines I really thought were a standout, even when I'm not there. So even if they come in not on a Wednesday afternoon, and they tell me that they live off of picking from those signs. And probably 98% of the people that have ever responded about those say, you're right on. These are things that we really liked. And I do choose those that I put the tag on for things that I think most people will like. They're not the esoteric wines. Those I will tell you when you come in person, this is right for you. I know because you're buying this and this and this. And that's where we steer off to the more, incredibly dry or incredibly high alcohol wines. But the ones that I put the tags on, you can buy with confidence and know that your friends and family are going to go like, wow, where'd you get this? And what more can I do?
I'm going to wind the clock back about, 30 or 40 minutes ago when we started this whole thing. And Kia was in here, the owner of the operation here at this particular location of grocery outlet. And as you heard her say, that's the whole fun thing here is you can come and bring a case or two that you decide you want to buy, okay? And Steve can walk you through picking out some super. So I'm just saying, if you're in Southern California, okay, it might well be worth the little bit of drive, because even though gas prices are, not exactly cheap right now, the amount of money you'll save for some really good wines makes it a worthwhile drive. So, Steve, thanks. This is Thanksgiving time coming, and I know some folks will catch the podcast after Thanksgiving.
And it's my birthday on Thanksgiving Day.
Well, they should come in and say hi to you. Well, you won't be here.
I won't be here that day.
So
no, I hopefully have something better to do.
Happy birthday. We should do a little toast here. Ready? Pick up a bottle.
We can clink with bottles.
Yes. There we go.
There we go.
Because we got plastic solo cups today. So, well, yes, this has been turkey wines, which are anything but turkeys. So we want you guys to have a great turkey holiday. And till the next time, we will do some wine sipping and catch you then.
And hope to see you again.
It's the Spill the Wine Show podcast. Thanks, everybody.